Positions for the snatch. Go ahead and grab your bar. Put the bar a little bit wider grip. You want to put the bar right in the hip. A good way to know exactly where it is, you can just bend the hip and just keep that bar right in the crease of your hip. Or you can bend at your knees, and the bar should just stay right there in the crease of your hip. So for the first position is a power position. What you want to do is turn your elbows out, looking straight forward, put your weight on your heels, and just bend your knees. Right here, your shoulders are behind the bar, weight's in your heels, your knees are in front. This is the power position. This is what everything else in weightlifting is about. It's getting to this position so that you can deliver the most power in your bar up. Moving down to the next position, you want to bend at the hip and push the knees back, right to about the knee. So in this position, now my shoulders are on this side of the bar. They're over the bar. My weight is still in my heels, and the knees have been pushed back just a little bit. So moving back up, raise the chest and allow the knees to come back forward. So in this, you never actually stand all the way up. You stand to the power position. So again, bending at the hip, pushing the knees back. Shoulders are over the bar, weight still in the heels. Now coming the chest up, allow the knees to come forward, back into the power position. The weight stays in the heels the whole time. Now going down to the next step, bending at the hip, pushing the knees back. Now from here, what you want to do is you want to bend at the knees and just kind of squat down. The weight's going to shift to mid-front foot. The knees are going to poke through right by the elbows. So right here, my shoulders are directly above the bar. My knees are poking through. The weight's mid-front foot, and I'm looking forward and slightly up. I come up, I push with the legs, and I push the knees back. Coming back down. And as I come up, the weight shifts back into my heels. Weight shifts mid-front foot, back into the heels. Mid-front foot, back into the heels. All right, now going up to the power position. Weight stays in the heels, the chest raises, the knees come forward, and you're in the power position. So those are the three main positions for the pull. Next is the overhead squat position. So with the same grip, putting the bar overhead, put your feet a little bit wider, and put the bar over your head. Here you want to let the bar kind of cock back into the wrists. You're still looking straight forward and slightly up. And now go down into a squat. In this position, you want to go down as deep as you possibly can. You want to keep your torso as upright as possible, and the weights evenly distributed on your feet. Things that you want to watch out for is getting too far forward with the head. That'll just put too much stress on the shoulders so that you can come up as upright as possible. Another thing that you want to keep in mind is that you want your feet, you want your butt to sit in between your ankles so you can stay upright. So, the movement that you want to do from the power position right here to overhead is really just a stand up. So the weight stays in your heels and you extend your knees and your hips at the same time to drive your hips up in a piston-like motion. So in this, your arms are staying fairly loose. All the work is done by the hips, and the arms will follow through and rotate and turn over right into the lockout. And when you're doing this, you want to think of using your hips and your butt to actually pull you down. You don't want to use your chest to dive forward underneath the bar. You want to lead with the hips. So you're in your power position, you finish up, then the main motion is the hips being pulled back down as you move your feet going underneath the bar. The difference would be is doing a snatch that would look like this, which is using the hips to pull you down, compared to this, which would be using the arms and diving the chest to support. The difference is that this catch position is much more unstable and unbalanced. So those are all the main positions. What you want to do is you want to go through all the positions, pause in each one, kind of get the feel for them, get used to the positions, and then start taking those pauses out and just kind of move smoothly through the whole leg. So it might look like this. And then eventually, just one lift, the whole thing together. A few things to keep in mind for this is that you want to keep a hook grip, which is having your thumb around like this the whole time. A few things that stay consistent regardless of portions is mostly going to be where the shoulders are in relationship to the bar in each position. So, for the power position, weights on the heels, knees bent. Right here, the shoulders are behind the bar. So now when you move down to the second position, the shoulders move in front of the bar. Now, how far in front changes person to person. Some people will be really far over. Some people will just be slightly, even just like the mass of the shoulder is slightly forward. But the general thing is most people are going to have the shoulders on this side of the bar. Now when you go down, the shoulder mass is directly above the bar on this one. The knees are peeking through. And those are kind of the main things that you want to keep consistent regardless of proportions. Usually, if someone has a longer spine, the back angle might be different from someone with a shorter spine. So keeping the shoulders, the general behind the bar, in front of the bar, directly on top in all those positions are the main things that you want to keep consistent. A couple other things that you need to keep in mind when snatching is your shoes. So a weightlifting shoe has an elevated heel, and what that does is it allows your knees to travel forward a little bit more, especially if you have any calf tightness, to allow you to get into the most upright position as possible. A few other things is during the turnover, there's a couple different ways that you can think about it, but you want to keep that bar as close as you can. You almost want to think of making the bar travel up the shirt. And I did mention earlier about a piston-like motion. If you think of the action of a piston, I'm going to use this thing of protein right here. A piston travels up and then down, up and then down. You want your hips to be like that. You don't want to drive your hips forward. You don't want a whole lot of forward and backward motion with your hips. You want your hips to be driven upward, and what that'll do is it'll actually drive the bar upward. If you really push your hips forward, you're going to make the bar loop out in front of you, which is never a good thing. You always want to keep it close and get a nice vertical drive into the bar. Another thing to keep in mind is the use of straps during snatching. I prefer not to use straps at all unless you're doing like doubles or triples from the hang. If you're ever doing work from the floor, it's always good to just not use straps, develop your grip, get your hook grip strong, and just get better at it. You know, they can easily become a crutch and can really mess up your competition lifts. Using straps from like pulls is a good thing actually, because you really want, when you're doing a pull, you want the most weight to be loaded on your legs, and you want the most neural drive to go down to your legs, because that's what you're overloading. You're overloading your legs. So by using straps, you're allowed to use more weight, and your legs get a better training effect. So in that sense, they are okay to use. And then again, you still want to do it without straps, just to overload the grip as well. Another thing to keep in mind is that there's a lot of different ways to teach the snatch. There's not really any wrong or right way. There's just a wrong or right way for a particular athlete. So hopefully you can use this information today to help you be able to become a better snatcher.
So here's a workout where I snatched up to 130. I did quite a few singles above 70%. And I just want you to watch and kind of look for the same positions that I talked about earlier as I warm up. One thing that you'll notice is that I approach the bar the same way every time. Weightlifting is a sport about consistency. Try to do the same thing that you do at 40 kilos as you would do at 90%. So here, I always grip the bar with my right hand and then my left, and pull the bar in, bring it into position, and then snatch it. One thing that I hadn't talked about before is the tempo of a lift. A lot of people think weightlifting and they think speed, 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 but it's not always about speed. Sometimes the tempo of the lift is more important. Right from when you pick the bar up off the floor, you have to accelerate through the pull until after the hips when it's the fastest. It can't be fast off the floor and then slow down at the knee and then speed up again. You want to have it a nice, smooth, accelerating tempo. A lot of weightlifting is about getting the bar to the power position so that the hips and the legs can do all the work in that position, because that's the position where you're going to be the strongest at. That's where you're going to be able to drive the bar up the highest with. So this is 110 kilos. I did most of my sets here. This is about 70% for me. Got a good side view right here. I really want you to look for those same positions that we talked about in the video before. And then a slow motion. You can see that bar kind of traveling in, kind of scoops into the hip. It starts out in front when the weight's in the front of the foot, and the bar moves back over the base of support, which is more towards the heel. On this one, notice how the feet move out. Personally, I have a problem with not moving my feet out, but you want the feet to move out in the catch, because then you'll be in a much more stable position. Another side view, you can really, this is actually a better rep than the one before. I think it moves in better. I got a little bit better of a finish. One of the big things that you're looking for is to develop consistency throughout your workout. Try to make every rep look as similar as possible, because that way you can be more consistent on the competition platform. $120, about 265, and then my top weight of 130 today. About 285 pounds. So ideally that one would have looked the same as 110. You want all the reps to look about the same. It's all about position, movement, tempo. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it.